What makes him happy?
Not being in this movie.
Not being in this movie. This is where the gaslighting gets really good.
My nickname around these parts is Dead Weight.
I hadn't been considering scissor.
I'm prepared to travel in time.
We were deep into an Adam Sandler rabbit hole on this podcast. How did that happen? A lifetime of Hallmark.
Well, hello, everybody. It is your favorite day of the week. It is time for another episode of A Lifetime of Hallmark, where we talk about your favorite movies on both Lifetime and the Hallmark Channel and try to make sense of them. I am Les Kirkendall-Barrett. Hello, Jason Bowers.
Hello, Les Kirkendall-Barrett.
And hello, Kirk Fitzpatrick.
Hello, Les Kirkendall-Barrett, and hello, Jason Bowers.
So we have watched a movie this week that we are chomping at the bit to talk about.
We do have opinions.
And like I shared with Jason and Kurt before the podcast, this movie triggered me in a lot of ways.
And we'll definitely get into that. I could see why it would.
Points.
Yeah.
I was very.
I was going to say,
go ahead.
For those people listening at home, these guys are going back and forth. It's really stirred up some serious emotion.
Well, to be fair, when we message each other on Facebook Messenger because that's how we do the recording of the show, and so I had it in front of me on a keyboard, so I was able to type much faster. I'm not a fast typer on the phone.
But yeah, I was watching this movie and there were parts I was like, this is unacceptable. I need to vent about this. And of course, you know, I don't know many people who watch Hallmark movies in real time. So I'm like, I've got it. I've got to message Kurt and Jason right now.
Okay. Well, we'll get into it. But I believe, Les, you probably have a question for Kurt.
Yes, Kurt, do you have any Blac Chyna news?
Doing a piece of China.
China.
I'm talking China.
The Blac Chyna Report. Here's Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Well, Blac Chyna is going to be on the Wendy Williams show this Monday night, from what I understand.
Yes, she is.
Monday. Her show is on. I don't know. Is she on it?
She's a daytime talk show, but they show repeats of it. Either on We or Oxygen, one of those. They show it during the day, the evening on one of those channels.
Okay, we're recording this on February 11th, 2021. Just to put that in context. So to prepare our audience to see Blac Chyna on Wendy Williams, I thought I would dig up this article from Showbiz Cheat Sheet. This is from November 17th of 2020.
Okay.
This is where Wendy Williams and Blac Chyna, Wendy Williams spars with Blac Chyna after claiming she's homeless.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, the TV stars have long had a tense relationship, but things took a turn for the worse on November 16th when Williams blurted out on her show that Blac Chyna had allegedly become homeless. Her remarks prompted a swift clapback from Blac Chyna, who called out the TV host on social media. Williams' comment came during the Inside Scoop segment of her self-titled talk show. She and entertainment journalist Devin Simone were going through a range of hot topics when the conversation turned to Blac Chyna's ex, Tyga, who is reportedly being sued by a landlord for unpaid rent and property damages. The topic reminded Williams of conversations she said she had with Blac Chyna. Blac Chyna texts me regularly. Can you help me find a condo? I have no place to live, she said. The remark shocked Simone, who then pointed out that Blac Chyna previously said she doesn't receive child support for her kids, King and Dream, who she shares with Tyga and Rob Kardashian, respectively. Yep, single mother of two. Can I find her a place to live? Williams continued, and it was like random. Like maybe she sent a blast to everybody she knows because it didn't say Dear Wendy, but I didn't answer it. As clips of the moment circulated social media, Blac Chyna took to her Instagram story to respond to Williams. She did not directly comment on the claim, but she suggested that it was untrue as she showed off a fleet of luxury cars in her mansion in Calabasas, California. She added the audio to her 2020 song Cash Only, featuring Trippie Redd, to the video, which features the lyrics, "Ain't no sense in lying, I don't call nobody mine, and I ain't checking for nobody either, I promise I'm fine. I'd rather chase money to spend because I can't see myself spending time. I ain't need one on my side, can't be worried about you when I'm busy trying to get mine." Williams did not publicly respond to Blac Chyna.
Yo.
I like that content creation has evolved to a point where we are now doing a podcast and Kurt is doing a rerun of Blac Chyna news.
Right.
People. Well, it's to put things into the historical context. She's coming on the show Monday. You got to know.
Not our show. Not our show.
Now I was watching Wendy today.
Okay.
Because I am a Wendy Watcher. I watch Wendy every day.
Does she have a name for her fan army?
Wendy Watcher.
Oh, it's called Wendy Watchers? Okay.
I'm a Wendy Watcher.
Okay.
And I watch Wendy every day. Wendy is a reliable news source for this podcast. I watch her on the East Coast feed.
Okay.
Because we're on the West. Jason and I are on the West Coast. And Wendy's based out of New York. So I watch Wendy on the East Coast feed. So I watch her when I first wake up at 8 in the morning. Mm-hmm. So I start my day with Wendy.
Okay.
Or as she says in between commercials, grab a snack and come on back. But so since there was no mention about Blac Chyna's outfit, Wendy talked about Blac Chyna today.
Oh.
And as she was talking about Blac Chyna, she put a picture of Blac Chyna up as she was talking about her.
Did you take notes, Les?
I did. So they didn't show her outfit, but they showed Blac Chyna. Blac Chyna looks like she's lost a substantial amount of weight. Okay. And I'm not saying that she needed to, because she really didn't. Mm-hmm. But it looked like she lost weight. And she had a pink shoulder-length wig.
Okay. Was this a recent photo, do we know?
Well, the show was today.
Well, I know, but if they're just talking about any celebrity, they're not, unless they're talking about what's in the photo, they might just put up an old stock photo of them.
I'm assuming it was from today only, it was a recent photo, only because I've seen stock photos of Blac Chyna before, and she's always looked like a little fuller in the face.
Well, I wonder if, when there's, just not a celebrity, just like a regular person commits a crime, and they'll or goes missing, and they'll put up whatever random Facebook photo they're able to access, just because.
Right.
I wonder if because Blac Chyna is photographed a lot when she's on good terms with Wendy. If Wendy has them put up a good photo of her, and if she and Blac Chyna are on the outs, then Wendy puts up a really unflattering photo of Blac Chyna.
I mean, like they do in the National Enquirer sometimes.
Yeah.
So I guess then this means that they are on good terms, because it was a cute picture. And one of the things that just came to mind is, remember a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about how Blac Chyna was getting Botox or something done for her jaw because well, her face looked like she had her cheekbones. She had really great cheekbones in this picture.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if that had to do with some of the stuff that she was having done.
Probably, because it would change the shape of her face a bit, I'd imagine.
Yeah. No, she was cute. It was a cute picture. And actually, I'll go one further to even say that Blac Chyna in this picture even looked a little younger than she normally does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But yeah. So I'm thinking this is recent, and this is after some things she had.
Maybe
done.
she'll talk about it on Wendy.
Maybe on Monday, because and the reason why Monday is so important is because Monday on Wendy Williams is always a day of hot topics. And so Wendy today announced it by saying Blac Chyna wanted to come on, and she is a real life hot topic. So what better day for her to come on but Hot Topics Monday? So there you go.
Okay, that's very exciting news.
So I have some news.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh.
Ooh, okay.
And now, a me report. Here's Jason Bellers, a.k.a. me. So I've talked before on this podcast when we had our friend Nina Weinman on, who's written a bunch of Hallmark movies, talked about how Nina and I used to do improv together. And I think I may have mentioned when we did improv together, we would we had these stock characters that the two of us would always do anytime we wanted to comment on the action in whatever improv we were doing. So Nina and I played a talk show hosts, Bink Jackson and Mindy McAllister. We were very highly caffeinated morning talk show duo. So I was Bink Jackson. Well, Nina for years has been trying to work in the name Bink Jackson for a talk show host character. And she almost did it. Nina texted me the other day and said, I am so sad that Bink Jackson didn't clear. He's now Bink Williams.
Now, why wouldn't they clear Bink Jackson?
I don't know. Maybe there's another character with a Jackson name in it, or maybe there's a real person with that name that they didn't want to get sued by. I don't know. But so Bink Williams is going to be in a Hallmark movie airing on March 27th called Breakup Boot Camp that Nina wrote. And literally right as I was hitting record today, Nina responded to my request to have her on the podcast to talk about it, and she's going to do it. So we'll get Nina on the show again.
Great.
Yeah.
Now, all those names.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of crazy.
That's crazy because I have no idea that they vet the names.
Oh yeah, they absolutely do. Yeah, like the movie Meet the Fockers, the studio wouldn't greenlight the film until they were able to prove that last name actually exists with that pronunciation, so they couldn't get in trouble with using that name, in a a PG or PG-13 movie.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
I had a temp job working for a legal department of some cable channel. I think I remember who I'm not supposed to say, but yeah. And so I saw all this stuff. They had to vet all these names, and I was reading that Punky Brewster, Brandon Tartikoff knew a girl named Punky Brewster, and they had.
I feel like I heard that story too.
Yeah, when they started the show, they had to go and find her and ask her if it was okay, and her name wasn't Punky Brewster anymore.
Could you imagine? Punky Brewster, can we get your permission?
Yeah. Well, then the real Punky Brewster came on the show one time.
But then again, I guess it would be flattering for the real Punky Brewster to have a TV show.
Well, I guess it depends on the character. You think of these poor women that are named Karen right now. Anyone with the name Karen just gets hell.
Named Karen. I don't know what. I haven't talked to her for a while.
Right.
Poor Karen.
But yeah, Punky Brewster. Not only did it turn out to be a hit TV show, isn't Punky Brewster being rebooted?
It's coming back to Peacock. Yeah.
It's coming back. Punky Brewster is a grown-ass woman. Freddie Prinze Jr. is her ex-husband, I think.
Oh, yeah. Good for Punky.
Yeah, I know, right?
Is Cherry back?
I don't know.
If Cherry's the friend, I believe so, yes. I believe
Cherry's
so.
the little best friend.
Yeah.
I don't think the dog is still alive.
I don't think so, no. And George Gaines.
Henry either.
George Gaines is no longer with us.
Henry, who I love from, he was on Soap Dish.
Oh, yeah.
Police
he was on Soap Dish. He was the actor who could never learn his lines and who was drunk, and so he'd read the teleprompter. And so Emily would mess with him and grab his face so he wouldn't be able to read the teleprompter.
Are you talking about Soap?
No.
Soap Dish.
Oh no, sorry, not Soap Dish. Oh wait, no, he was not on Soap Dish. He was on Tootsie.
Oh, Tootsie. Yes, he was in Tootsie. Yeah.
Yes, another movie set in the soap world.
Southwest General.
Yeah, I remember him in that.
Yeah, he worked at Southwest General on Tootsie.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
Did you have news too, Les? Oh, who are you reporting on here?
Oh, Lori Loughlin.
Oh. And now it's time for the Loughlin Report. Here's Les Kirkendall Barrett.
Well, Lori Loughlin, the ex diva of the Hallmark Channel, has completed 100 hours of community service.
Woo! Congratulations, Lori.
Now,
What do you get for that anniversary?
Milestone.
A signed paper
Yeah.
from your parole officer.
Yeah, you get a certificate. One of those ones you print. You buy those pre-made certificate papers at Staples, and you print that out, and you're all set.
So I just realized something. She's not able to vote anymore, right?
Yeah, I think she is. Yeah.
I think it depends on the state. I believe some states you are allowed to vote
Jason.
if you have served your time.
Let's get into this movie.
Okay.
What was it called? Something Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills Wedding.
Okay.
In the tradition of Beverly Hills Chihuahua, Beverly Hills Brats, which featured a cameo by Whoopi Goldberg in the very opening of the movie. She just says the title of the movie, and then she's gone. It's Beverly Hills Wedding.
Beverly Hills Cop.
So, of course.
Well, of course. That's where it all started.
They start off showing the tired old Beverly Hills sign in the park. That's kind of that is in Beverly Hills, but it's literally the park that you drive by on Santa Monica Boulevard.
Well, it's
no big deal.
Well, no, it kind of serves as an entranceway to this city, and that sign is somewhat iconic now, and they just refurbished it last year, or the year before, rather.
And they always have an art fair.
Yeah, every weekend the traffic is fucked up because there's an art fair in the town that's like 3 blocks over from where I live.
Yes. And I get very angry because I'm always like, damn it.
What was that, Kurt?
I wouldn't want to live there. I don't want to be stuck in traffic. I don't want to be stuck in traffic all the time.
You have traffic in New Jersey, New York, though, too.
Yeah, but I can take public transit here.
Well, yeah, you do have that.
Oh, see, and this is how long I've lived in LA, because when you said public transit, my first thought was, oh, that's just taking it too far.
It's so funny how bougie LA is about it, when in other cities, it's like, you see rich people, poor people all riding side by side because it's the easiest way to get around.
And I'm like, oh no, how dare you?
Yeah.
Walk all the place. I could walk to the grocery store.
No, well, I walk. We walk here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just and like my husband, for example, does not drive. He does not know how to drive. He's never driven. So he takes public transportation or Uber. He takes a lot of Uber or Lyft.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But right now, just in the pandemic, public transportation just does not sound appealing to me right now.
Well, yeah.
I was taking the bus a little bit regularly here in LA because I got rid of my car a few years ago because I just don't like driving and I don't go that far usually. So I would either Uber or I would take a bus, but I haven't taken a bus since the pandemic started. And Uber, it's been very rare.
Yeah, because Uber, I'm like, I once was gonna call an Uber, and I was like, I dialed it, and then I realized, oh, wait a minute, I'm not gonna be in a car with this strange person.
Well, it's also super hard to get one now. I don't know what it's like on the East Coast, Kurt, but right now it's hard to get Ubers because of the pandemic, not as many drivers want to drive, but B, here in LA, a lot of Uber drivers were young, actor, model, musician types that have pretty much fled the city because they aren't working at their part-time jobs. There's no gigs going on right now where they can work on their craft. So they've all gone back home to their parents' houses until this blows over.
Right.
Yeah, I took a Lyft last week, but that's the first time I've taken one in probably at least a year.
Right. Yeah. It's, and that is true. A lot of people have gone home, but I have a feeling they'll all be coming back this summer. They'll start coming back.
They will to a point, but I mean, this city has become very unaffordable. You're paying all this money for rent to live here. But the reason you pay that in a city like in LA or in New York is because of all the amenities. Well, there's no amenities right now.
Right. This is true. This is true.
All right, I brought the room down. So let's talk about this horrible movie.
Yeah, let's talk. Okay, speaking of okay, so we meet Molly, who's the star of this movie, who we've seen before. We've seen Molly in several other movies before.
Do you remember which one? She looked familiar, but I wasn't even bothered to look her up.
As a matter of fact, I believe the male and female leads in this movie have played a couple before.
Probably.
Guy looked a little familiar.
We've seen the guy. We've seen him a lot.
Yeah, we've seen him before.
Wait a minute. And I'm thinking, did we see the female star of this movie? Wasn't she in a Wrong movie or a Lifetime movie as well?
Maybe. I remember the groom in the movie, the younger brother. He, I think we've seen him in a movie before too.
Yeah, but the male lead, we've seen him a lot.
Yeah,
we see him a lot.
Yeah, he looks familiar.
So Molly's a photographer, and she's talking to her assistant, and she's telling her assistant how she's got to go and help her sister's boyfriend because her sister's boyfriend wants to propose to her. And then she has this picture of her sister and her soon-to-be fiance when they were little kids. And it's a picture of him proposing to her when they were like probably 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah, it's a really cute photo.
Yeah.
Right. And then we also find out that Molly, so his name was the fiance's name is Jordan. And we find out that that Molly and Jordan's brother Corey also had history when they were all little.
Yeah.
So we then go. And they're in Oregon. They're like in bumfuck Oregon.
Hughes, Oregon. It was I feel like one of the only times where the movie is opened and they actually had text on the screen telling you where the movie was set.
Right. So then they go. They do the proposal. I wrote here that they had it set up so that her sister Sophia came home from work. Jordan was waiting for her. He's like, let's go for a walk. And they go for a walk. And then I wrote here that Molly is lurking behind bushes like a stalker, taking pictures.
Like she's like stalking Sasquatch in the woods or something. It was kind of weird.
It's sort of, we've kind of talked about this concept before that you can basically have this same framework for a story and make a Lifetime version of it or a Hallmark version of it. This was obviously the Hallmark version. The Lifetime version would be a shaky camera and the woman taking the photos. Molly would be wearing a black hoodie and she'd be trying to invade her sister's life to steal her soon-to-be husband.
And then, like in the Lifetime movie, he would propose to her, she'd say yes, and then they would like have sex on the ground.
Oh yeah, his shirt would be off.
I can see the girl attacking the other girl and then wrestling to the ground as well.
With chloroform.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There would absolutely be chloroform.
So the proposal happened. She says yes, of course. Then Molly's congratulating them. And then they start talking about the wedding. And we find out that the couple, they're kind of strapped for cash because Sophia is still paying off her student loans. And so they're like
forgiveness.
Right. So then Molly, of course, wants to rush it, but they're kind of like, hey, wait, we need to make the money. We need to save money. But then Molly, of course, agreed to help them. And then we end up in a barn where they're having like a little congratulatory party. And the whole family's there, his mom and dad, and then her dad and their aunt, which means her mother is dead.
Dead. Yeah.
Now,
And
I'm gonna be honest.
they explicitly said it. They danced around it for like a second, then they just said when mom died. It was like, aw.
Why does the aunt have to be there? So the mother's dead. That means the aunt has to hang around, like play the role. She's like Sandy Duncan.
Yeah. Or kind of like Andy Griffith.
She was totally Sandy Duncan on the Hogan Family.
Yeah. Well, I was really annoyed by this aunt. I don't think
or like
Aunt Bea.
Like Andy Griffith when Aunt Bea showed up.
Yeah, no, I don't want
and
that.
would make pie. No, the aunt was very annoying in this.
And a cockblock.
Because she thought she was funny.
The aunt's only characteristic that they put in the movie was she likes to eat chocolates out of a box.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so do I. Maybe I'm wrong with the aunt.
You were the aunt, Kurt. I actually put that in my notes. I was going to ask you if you related to her.
You know, I noticed in Hallmark movies too. People are never sick. They just go straight to dead. You know, you don't have like, oh, mom's sick. Nope. They just go straight to dead. That's it.
So, you know, they're having...
It's cleaner.
So they're having the party. They're having the party in the barn. Then Jordan's brother, Corey, shows up. And Molly starts acting weird. So we already know, they dated when they were kids and broke up.
Yeah.
Which is what happened.
Yeah.
Have you noticed it's been a theme in the Hallmark movies that when they have the two leads where they have a history where they dated in the past, it's always the guy did something wrong. The guy left, or not even the guy did something wrong, but one of them leaves. But no matter who leaves, the woman is always mad at the guy for having left.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And in this case, I guess he just didn't want to be in the small town anymore. And he left, but didn't ask her to come with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't blame him.
And wasn't it like he left, like, and it was a quick sort of a thing. Like he's like, I'm going by.
Well,
so
I think it was explained because he went sailing or something. And it was supposed to be like a short jaunt, and then he decided to stay. Yeah, and she was upset that he didn't even like bring it up to her that like, hey, I need to do this. You just did
it. Now what I was now a kind of red flag for me in this movie was the fact that the movie started out, and normally our heroines in these movies are very busy. Like they are so busy. They are working. They don't have time for anything. Mm-hmm. Molly didn't seem so busy. Like she was kind of busy, but she wasn't like
they showed her at work, but yeah, she wasn't like running around like a maniac, but she did have an assistant for doing wedding photos.
But I knew this was going to be a problem. Normally our Hallmark ladies are running around, busy, meetings, too busy for Christmas, you know, and she had some time, you know.
She's already home too. Like usually that woman's like in the big city and then she comes home. This woman was already, you know, so she was already at home.
But it was the dynamic that we have seen before of I'm ready for my next challenge. I'm ready for the next thing.
Right. So Corey's there, you know, Corey shows up, and then I wrote here, there's a lot of tension, a lot of shade, throwing shade. Right. Aunt gives a toast, you know, and then they toast to love, and then there's more pictures. And then I wrote here, the first really big red flag was the fact that Jordan, the fiance, was not into social media at all.
Why do you feel like that's... because that's like a cheater thing?
Well, and just kind of like, we're in 2021 and you're on no social media, like nothing.
Right.
Like, Like that's kind of a red flag that he's got a pole in his butt or something.
Yeah, really?
That's the
Like
new
he's
Hallmark movie that we saw the ads for, Les.
Oh, that's true.
We talked about this off the podcast. What's the premise of this movie that's going to be on Hallmark next week?
Oh my God, I'm so excited. It's about two twins in the Mediterranean. And there's nothing, okay, my first love of movies is a good makeover movie, is a twin switching identities movie. But
it's a very specific
Hallmark
genre.
Hallmark has embraced the gay, because this is not only a twin switching an identity movie, it's the gay twin switching the identities with the straight twin.
And what transpires? Does the straight twin?
Well, we don't know. We haven't seen it yet.
I just saw in the commercial where it's the gay twin and the straight twin, and the gay twin's boyfriend is all over the straight twin who he thinks is the gay twin.
Oh yeah.
Like kind of mauling him, and I was like, oh, Hallmark! Oh my God! Look at you!
Hallmark movie? I don't think
getting racy.
Wow!
I don't think a mainstream studio would produce this.
I was like, Hallmark.
Yes, boy, they've got something to prove. They're making
well, because this is what they have to prove. They're like, okay, we thought we were a shoo-in when we had our gay movie, and Lifetime not only outgayed us. Outgayed us with our premise, with our tropes. Lifetime used our own tropes against us and outgayed us. So we need to get it together.
So, okay, so they switch bodies. They don't switch bodies. They switch identities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And does the gay? What do they do? Does the gay guy have to go down on a woman, or what is it?
This is Hallmark. It's not the Spice Channel.
Okay. Hallmark.
Spice. Is that still around?
And just to be clear, my definition of a guy mauling another guy on Hallmark was the guy kissed him on the cheek.
In the promo.
Okay.
In the promo.
Well, that's right in the promo. That's for Hallmark. That's
it's penetrative sex right there.
Right.
Yeah.
My mind went places.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, so then Molly, we find out that Molly, Molly's like a portrait photographer, but we find out that she's a little down on herself because she thought by now her pictures would be appearing in a gallery somewhere. And her aunt was like, don't give up on your dreams. There's still time. Yada, yada, yada. So then we find out then we find out about the Molly and Corey history. And
it was really expository too. It was a long explanation that could have been streamlined a little bit.
Yeah, because then he worked on a sailboat. He didn't want to be tied down to the farm.
He's giving coordinates of where he was at sea.
Yes, he jumped on a boat and sailed away from her.
He read her every single one of his journal entries while he was gone.
Right.
Oh, great.
So then the next scene, Molly's talking to her assistant, and they're talking about the wedding and having to get money for the wedding. And Molly's assistant's like, "Hey, why don't you enter one of those sweepstakes? My cousin won a sweepstakes and had their entire wedding paid for."
I initially liked that idea. I mean, that's economical.
Oh, I still do.
I do if you're going to get something that you're going to actually like.
Right.
And herein lies the underlying issue in this movie.
Right.
So then all of a sudden we see a commercial from Terrence, the wedding planner of the stars. And so he's going on about, you could have your perfect wedding in Beverly Hills. And I guess I'm so desensitized to Beverly Hills from not only living in California, But living in West Hollywood for many years and literally going to Beverly Hills like every day, I was kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think just overall it doesn't hold quite the cachet that it used to, or quite the sort of dream version of glitz and glamour.
Right.
I don't think it epitomizes it in people's minds the way it used to.
Especially when they said, you're going to get a wedding on Beverly Hills, and then showed the tired old park again. And that's it.
You know why they might be showing that sign? This is honest to God truth. That the famous sign of the Beverly Hills logo that you've seen in a lot of other movies, Beverly Hills actually trademarked that logo. So they may have to pay to use it, and they may not let you. It could be that maybe they don't let Hallmark use it because this movie wasn't actually filmed in Beverly Hills.
That makes sense. That makes total sense.
So I have a question. Are there reasonably priced homes in Beverly Hills, or is everything like just really astronomically high?
Well, define reasonable. Like you're not going to find anything in Beverly Hills, even the like fringe parts of Beverly Hills, for less than $1 million.
Because there is kind of a poor part of Beverly Hills, or like Beverly Hills.
There's
poor.
like apartments and stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're.
But not everything is a mega mansion, though, either. There are some just like modest houses in Beverly Hills.
No. And I would say that West Hollywood is like competitive with Beverly Hills these days.
It is. Yeah. West Hollywood for renting is the second most expensive city to live in California after San Fran. And housing prices in West Hollywood are very high because it's a very desirable place to live, because it's like the more fun Beverly Hills and there's more to do here.
Right.
But there's probably places like Aspen, Colorado is probably more expensive than Beverly Hills, I would assume.
I guess it depends. I mean, the most expensive house in America is in Beverly Hills. There are mansions that are worth over $100 million. There's several of them.
Really?
Isn't Aspen more of like a holiday, like a seasonal destination?
And there's also parts of North Jersey that are really expensive, like
for
Valentine.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Franklin Lakes.
I don't know Franklin Lakes.
Well, I know Franklin Lakes because that's where the Real Housewives of New Jersey live.
Yes. Of course.
So anyway, so they're having like a little get together, and Jordan's family goes over to Molly's family's house, and Molly's still being weird, kind of shady. Then, like, you know, she pretends at one point that she's gonna go bake some cookies, but then Corey busts her holding a plate of supposedly hot cookies. But he's like, you just took that out of the oven and you're holding it with your bare hands. You're faking this. So I like that he called her on it.
Yeah.
And so he's like, listen, weirdo, let's just be cool to each other and get through this. Stop being weird. And so then I wrote here, this party looked so boring.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so boring.
What party was this?
This is the engagement party that Molly was throwing for Sophia and Jordan.
Like, it looked awful.
Oh, there was a marshmallow roasting? Is that?
Yes, there was. They were sitting out of the fire pit. I didn't write this down, but I noted during that scene that I know I'm in the minority here. I don't love sitting outside by a fire. I don't like going outside to have myself heated up. I'd rather be inside and be heated.
I don't mind doing it if the weather's warm.
I don't either.
Right now, I don't want to be outside, but I don't.
I like being outside. I don't like being outside if the way to be outside is to be heated by another source. So, like, I'm not a fan of heat lamps. I'd rather sit inside if it were possible. I don't love a bonfire. The whole, the fire pit in the backyard, not a fan of that either. You smell like smoke. I know I'm alone on this.
Jason, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And go ahead.
No, I like it. And speaking of the heating lamps, I went to a wedding in LA some years ago, and it went down. The weather went down to maybe 65 degrees, and they brought their heat lamps.
It's cold.
Yeah,
we're so
65
cold.
degrees.
It's 65 degrees.
Yes.
Come on, that's not cold.
We're desensitized, or not desensitized, but our blood gets colder the longer we live here, Kurt. So we anytime the temperature dips below sunny and 70, we're like bundled up in a parka.
60 degrees, that's like a coat and a scarf and a hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but you don't want to be in New Jersey right now.
I sure don't.
No, that's why I'm not. Sorry, New Jersey.
I lived in New York for a few years. I gave New York a good run.
Today was 0 degrees Celsius, but I did see that they said 0 degrees.
See, that's good for like television, watching it on television.
I don't like it either. I don't like the weather.
Oh, okay. So then this is the part where Molly then all of a sudden becomes like a controlling bitch. Like all of a sudden.
Molly, who's not the bride, became a bridezilla.
Yes. Because they were like, because they start talking like, hey, where do you want to get married? And Molly's like starts like, well, I think they should get married, and takes it upon herself to start checking out spaces.
She already started.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, what is this mental illness that she has? Because it is an illness.
It is something. It's known as assholism.
Yes.
Okay, assholism. But where does this stem from? Is it because she does not have her own wedding to plan, so she needs to project this? She needs to control the people.
Well, the reasoning in the script in the story was that because the mom died, she promised her mom that she would take care of Sophia, so she's become like a little bit overprotective.
Right. All right. Overbearing. Well, she needs to cut the cord.
Well, and especially because they started going to check out places and Corey went with her. And like there was one place where Molly was like, absolutely not. And Corey's like, wait, I think they would like this. Like, he's like, I know them and they would like this venue. And she's like, no, because I don't want it. So basically, she's making the wedding about her.
Assholism.
Right.
Assholism?
Yes.
But then all of a sudden, she gets a call from Terrence.
Hello.
And it turns out that Molly wrote an essay for her sister, and the essay won. Mm-hmm. And the contest, they won a wedding in Beverly Hills. But the problem is, they were planning on getting married in the next 6 months to a year. And by winning this sweepstakes, they've got to get married like in 2 months.
Oh, I thought it was 6 months.
It was 6 weeks.
Oh, 6 weeks, rather.
Oh, 6 weeks. Yeah, 6 weeks.
Either way, it wasn't a lot of time, but it was actually for a Hallmark movie, it was a pretty big window of time, because normally they're like, the festival's in 2 weeks. How are we going to do it?
Oh. I thought they were going to say, because they were talking about Valentine's Day, I thought they were going to say, you have to get married on Valentine's Day, like in like 3 days or something like that. Unless I heard 6 weeks, I was surprised.
And but then of course they were like, Beverly Hills. And I was just like, it cracks me up how they are just going ape shit about Beverly Hills.
Ever since Beverly Hills Chihuahua. No, you know what is Beverly Hills Ninja? They're big fans of that movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But then again, I was kind of torn on this part, because she was like, guess what? You guys are getting married. We've won this contest. You're going to go to Beverly Hills and get married in Beverly Hills. And they were like, Jordan and Sophia were like, I don't know. And I'm like, it's a free wedding, you idiot.
Yeah.
And I know about this from experience. I didn't have a wedding, but I had a reception that turned into kind of a wedding, and that shit was expensive. So I was like, if someone's going to throw you a free wedding, you take it.
Again, as I said at the beginning of the show, I agree with that in concept, provided that the wedding is something that you would actually like.
Well, we also don't know how many people they were going to invite. I don't think we ever heard a number. Who do they know? We never...
Well, that is, to me, that's the biggest challenge of planning any destination wedding, but especially this one, because it's in 6 weeks on Valentine's Day weekend. You know, so people are gonna have to like pay to fly to Beverly Hills for this wedding that you want. So it's like, yeah, they're not paying for anything, but anyone that comes to it is gonna have to fly to LA and stay in Beverly Hills on a holiday weekend.
Unless they were going to throw in the hotel for the people.
For all of the guests, you know how that cost like $1 million.
Well, it was from a TV network, though.
Yeah.
It was?
It's not...
Because remember Terrence at one point was talking and was like, if I do this, I get discounts from all of these people. Like,
yeah, his vendors that he works with to plan other weddings. So he's getting a discount on like catering and flowers. He's not getting a TV show.
They got Terrence's house.
But one of the things, though, that they did say that the Jordan and Sophia did say was, okay, well then if we do this wedding, then we can use the money that we were going to use for the wedding to buy a house and put down on a house.
That's smart.
I did think it was funny that their initial hesitation wasn't that, oh my gosh, this is in Beverly Hills and it's too much. It was, I don't think we have enough time. And it's like, well, you have all the time in the world. If you're not the ones planning the wedding, that shouldn't even be a factor for them.
Just yes. I don't know. Look at what you're getting for free. That's a major value.
Yeah.
You know?
So then,
I don't know how you're going to get people out, but that's not your problem.
Well, Aunt Sandy Duncan is going to lure them with chocolates.
Right.
That's right.
Now, one of the things though that they did that I did like about this movie is like they're like, okay, we're gonna go down. We're all gonna go down to LA to plan this before the wedding.
Yeah,
and this is something they rarely do on these movies. Normally, it's like we're gonna go and we're gonna do this wedding, and the fact that they actually went down ahead of time to plan everything, I was like, okay, all right,
that's reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
So Corey pulled Jordan aside and was like, don't let Molly steamroll you. Don't let her be so controlling. Then Corey tells Molly, okay, you need to chill out.
Jordan looked like he was like 16.
And angry.
Well, he and Sophia were both pretty young. Because if they said that the photo of them, that cute photo when they were little was 20 years ago, and they were like 5 in that photo. So like Jordan and Sophia were like 24, 25.
Right. Okay. So they fly to LA, but here's the thing. The minute they got off of the plane to LA, Corey had like stank face.
Well, that was not LA. That absolutely 1,000% was not LAX where they landed.
That was not LAX.
And it wasn't even Burbank.
They were not Philadelphia. Where are they? They were in Burbank?
No, it wasn't even Burbank. They didn't film this in California. There's no way they did.
No, there was no traffic.
Well, first of all, like when they step out of the airport, it's like a push door. It's not even like automatic doors, which they have at pretty much every airport. So it was some location that they just said was the airport. And then like they're getting their cars like right across the street. It's right there. And there's like all these cars whizzing by like they're on the side of a busy street, which is not where you would get into a car. You get into it in a parking lot.
Right.
They were shooting
LAX. Those cars would not be whizzing by.
No.
An actual airport is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Especially now.
And it was like, because before and pre-COVID, I was at LAX like every other week going somewhere. And yeah, no, that definitely was not LAX. So they get picked up by a limo. Corey's still stank face about that. And that's the part that annoyed me. It's like, dude, suck it up. It's a fucking limo.
She stank.
Get in there.
Riding a limo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What?
He was stank face about everything.
What makes him happy?
Not being in this movie.
Not being in this. Oh yeah. They were like he and his brother were like Judgy McJudgerson from like the beginning. So then of course they had the I Love LA montage.
Set to some bad remake of the Weezer song Beverly Hills. It had a mandolin in it.
Beverly Hills.
Yeah, that was too bad.
Then I got annoyed because they got out of the limo and they were like, it's a red carpet. And I was just like, shut up, shut up, shut up.
Yeah, and this hotel was not in Beverly Hills because Beverly Hills, there are some very nice luxury hotels. Like there's the Beverly Wilshire, which is very famous. That's the the Pretty Woman Hotel, but none of them are like big, huge high rises like this.
Right, and then especially they go up to the room and look out of the window and look onto the 101. I'm like, you are not in Beverly Hills. You're looking out of the window, looking at the 101.
The view that they had of downtown LA, it was so close to downtown LA where Beverly Hills absolutely is not overlooking. It was so funny.
Put it this way. Beverly Hills, Jason lives near Beverly Hills. I live in Los Feliz. I live near the 101, which is probably like, what, a half-hour drive to Beverly Hills?
Yeah, we're like probably only 7-8 miles apart from each other, but in LA traffic, it's like half an hour.
Right, and I'm in a whole other part of town. Like, so yeah, if it was near my house, like if it was like in Los Feliz or Hollywood, and they looked out and saw the 101, okay, yeah, of course. But no, not from Beverly Hills. Mm-hmm. So then Terrence and his very cute assistant, Kendall, show up.
He was
Kendall was very cute.
Kendall was always photographing the guys. He never photographed the women.
I'm okay with that, Kendall.
Right.
Always filming the guys.
Mm-hmm. And so what I liked about this, which I was like, oh, Hallmark is changing because Terrence was obviously gay. Like, obviously gay.
Yeah.
And so...
he looks at the two ladies and he says, you look like you're straight out of Central Casting.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he said that about the guys.
Yeah, I think it was about the guys, actually.
I think the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, to give you an idea what Central Casting is really looking for, they're looking for me. I get these text messages saying, we need your availability to play somebody's friend on Law and Order SVU.
Yes. For those listening that don't know, Central Casting is the company that does most of the casting of background actors. So, it's a bit more of a factory than even like regular Hollywood is. And so it's referenced a lot in TV and movies as meant to say like, oh, they just churn them out.
No. And nowadays you get 2 days work. You go 1 day. You get a COVID test. I have to go all the way from New Jersey to Long Island City. I'll probably get COVID.
Oh God, really?
I get COVID on the way, and then I get tested. And if I'm negative, then I work. So you do that on Wednesday. Then Thursday, you play your little role on Law and Order SVU as a cop walking across the street.
That's a lot of work for like a day of work.
It is, and it's not. They pay you $100. You get $100 to do the COVID.
But it's a free COVID test, I guess.
I was thinking about this. Like, so you get a COVID test Wednesday, and I ride home from Long Island City, New Jersey. I got to take a bus, a train. So if I get COVID on the way home, and then I work the next day, like I might not be contagious the very next day.
Correct.
It might take a couple more days. So it's like,
I mean, that's how this has spread the way that it has is, yes, there's people that are we have different levels of care in how we go about our day, but even the ones that are doing all the right things, stuff like this happens where like in that little window of like, I got tested and then I did this thing, you may have done other things too.
Like, hey, look, we'll get you the next day. You can work the next day. It's safe. And beyond that, oh, well, whatever.
Now, this is the part that annoyed me about these people. Because, okay, so say what you will, but, okay, so they won this contest for a TV show.
No, they didn't.
And so... Wasn't it for a TV show?
No, we discussed that earlier in this podcast. It wasn't for a TV show. It was just so that he could get discounts. Like it was a way for.
But the premise, like they won it. It was a sweepstakes, and
it was a sweepstakes, but it wasn't for a TV show. That's been the premise in several other Hallmark movies, but not in this one.
Yeah, because they were
though. Where I'm going with this is okay. So if you win a sweepstakes. People from the place where you won the sweepstakes are going to be taking your picture, are going to be filming you, are going to be showing you in action just to show you taking advantage of this sweepstakes.
For sure.
Yeah, Ed McMahon used to do that.
And Jordan and Corey were getting all like pissed because Kendall was like filming them and taking their picture. And it's like, idiot, you dick, you want a sweepstakes. Mm-hmm. Of course they're going to take your picture.
I have a theory.
It's their right to take your picture.
I have a theory as to why they were upset about Kendall filming them. It wasn't because they were going to be on social media, even though that was the reason. It's because Kendall was holding like an old school video camera. Like who has a regular handheld video? It wasn't a nice one. It was like a 90s camcorder that he was carrying around.
Right, that's true. And he could have just had his phone.
Yeah, you get better video quality on your phone. Like my phone is 4K. One of those cameras is probably not even HD.
Okay, then I'd be insulted too.
Yeah, that is insulting.
Yeah,
They're insulted for technology. Like, couldn't you get a better camera?
Come on, Kendall, take off your shirt and go camera shopping at Best Buy.
Right. So at this one part, so initially, Sophia was into it. And Jordan was being douchey. So I wrote here, which I was proven wrong. When Jordan was being douchey and Sophia was into it, I wrote, Jordan, if you fuck this up, you will be divorced in 2 years.
Well, yeah, that's something, yeah.
Because, let's face it. A lot of times, most of the time, the wedding is for the wife or the wife-to-be. And this is, the wedding is mostly, and I hope I'm not sounding sexist, but but I'm getting this from my female friends who got married. Most of the time, the wedding is for the woman, and the guy is like, just tell me where to be, tell me where to stand, tell me where to show up, I'll be there. And the woman is more of the one who's in it for the pampering, the fantasy, the dress, the venue. So the fact that Sophia was actually initially into this and Jordan was being an ass, I was like, dude, you need to just shut up and don't ruin this for her or you'll never hear the end of this.
But how do we know Jordan wasn't into it? Like, I do wonder because I know that is sort of the narrative around most weddings is that the one, it's her big day. I get that. But like what came first? That she wanted it to be her big day, or society bombards us with images of make it her special day that it just becomes the thing. Am I making sense?
But yeah, no, you totally are. But I just remember initially before the stuff later in the movie went down, initially she was excited.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my gosh, I want to, she's like, I'm going to get a Beverly Hills wedding. And she really was excited about it, but he would give her stank face or he would say something and then she'd go, oh, and kind of back down a little bit. And so after he did that a couple of times, I'm like, I hate these guys because he's like being a dick and ruining it for her.
Well, in the Lifetime movie, he would be drugging her by this point in the movie.
Oh, there'd be chloroform.
You'd be like mind controlling her.
Right. Right. They'd be filming it on the big giant camera.
Yeah. that camera that Kendall was holding around, they would refer to that as a hidden camera, even though it was in plain sight in the middle of the shot.
In a plant. So they go to the hotel room. The hotel room's really nice.
Oh, yeah.
But the guys have stank face about that too. This is the part that annoyed me. Regardless of whether or not, later issues happen, but initially it's like you guys are assholes. You're getting this weekend, all expenses paid in Beverly Hills and some nice shit, and you are just like stank facing it up.
Yeah,
the entire time.
I don't understand what people's problems are.
So that's why I'm like, I hate that. It was triggering me. I wanted to punch him.
What's the guy, the wedding planners guy? Tristan?
Terrence.
Terrence. There's one part he says something about because they're filming it, and he says the farm will have the best season yet. He thinks because of the publicity from this wedding, the farm is going to have a good season. So what? There's going to be like a rainy season at the
I get that.
You do?
No, I get that because they were filming the wedding, right? And so the wedding was going to get major press, and they were probably going to mention, oh, he owns this farm. And so a lot of times, like even on reality shows, when people see stuff on these shows, they will seek out the farm. So it's like publicity for them, for the farm.
And run into the cornfields. So what?
Well, they could. They could. Whatever crops they're farming. If people are looking to buy, X amount of corn or whatever it is, and you can buy from two different farms, you might go with the one that you've heard of on TV.
Right. Right. And that happens a lot.
Everything is win-win for these people.
Well, not with the boys and their stank faces.
Well,
you were putting this all at the guy's feet, and I'm telling you, what's her name?
I'm gonna turn. Oh no, I'm gonna turn. Just wait.
Yeah,
okay.
I saw that. Yeah, the stank face also.
Yeah, Molly. Molly is the worst.
I'm gonna turn. I'm just doing it in real time.
Okay.
No, Molly's gonna get hers too.
I don't mean to complain, but no one likes a complainer. And these people complain in this movie the whole time.
About everything. Just bitch. They're just bitching the entire time. Just bitching. And it's like, shut up. You're getting this free trip, Mr. Like you're from your podunk farm in Oregon. You're getting it's a weekend in California. Just sit up, Buttercup, and enjoy your goddamn weekend.
I want to believe that in an alternate universe, the stars of this movie host a podcast where they are bitching about how we are just bitching nonstop about them.
I was very angry.
That's very meta.
It's very meta.
They can go ahead, bring it on.
Right? Yeah, bring it. Oh, so then the guys did bring a hostess gift for Terrence.
Oh yeah, he doesn't like it.
Well, no, I'll tell you why. Because they gave Terrence it's blueberry jam, and I wrote, oh, Terrence isn't eating that. There's sugar in that. He's not touching it.
Smucker's jelly.
Yeah, but
or at least not in public.
He wasn't super rude about it, but he was a bit dismissive of it, and it was such a silly plot point to put in there to be like, he's gonna turn his nose down at them because they're yokels.
Right. I mean, and I wouldn't I will admit, if someone gave me a thing like that, I'd be like, oh, thank you. But in my mind, I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to eat this in public.
Oh, yeah.
But when I get home, behind closed doors, I'm going to have some carbs and some of this jam, and no one's ever going to know about it.
Yeah. I feel like if I were Terrence in that moment, I would put on a smilier face as I accepted it and be like, oh my gosh, that's really sweet. Thank you so much. And then when they're not around, I would be a bitch about it.
But then Terrence was like
behind their
old
back.
School. But Terrence was kind of like an old school snotty queen, like one of those the old school type.
Oh
snotty
yeah,
queens.
he was absolutely an old queen.
Yeah, like a snotty old queen that turns their nose up at everybody who thinks he looks like he's 25 when he's 55, like one of those.
Yeah, I would bring the gift down to value. I'd like, Jelly, fuck you. I'm giving you a wedding. I'm putting you up in this Beverly Hills Hilton. You give me jelly? How much is this worth? You got this from your farm, too, so this is like wholesale.
No, well, it was blueberry jam, and it was like, you know...
Oh,
It's a huge jar, by the way.
Right.
Like jam, like normally when you get, you like... Even if you buy the huge size of the store, it's not that big. This was like whatever mason jar they could find was like too big, but they're like, we got to film the scene. Just give us the prop. We need it.
Right.
You know, they brought
it was
Costco and just, peeled.
It was larger than a hidden camera in a Lifetime movie. It was huge.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
But it was from a farm, so you could say it was like artisanal jam.
Yeah, normally the artisanals you sell it in a really tiny jar and charge twice the price.
True.
I would actually like to have a bowl of jam like that. So if anybody's planning on giving me some, I still want it.
A bowl? Do you just eat jam by itself?
Ew, Kurt. Ew.
No, I'll put it on like a
bread.
Yeah.
on like, my tongue. I'll put it on my tongue.
Okay, so this next part, this is where I got infuriated. Because then they're talking about like the invitations. So he's showing them very nice invitations, and then home slice Corey ass is like, can't you just do Evites? It's like, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up.
I am torn on this particular point because they don't do an Evite, but also like there is a bit of a time crunch because the wedding is in 6 weeks, so you might want to do
for it.
No, but I'm talking in terms of like if I'm getting married and I want my guests to know that the wedding is happening, I'm gonna want the way that is most efficient to reach those people, and starting to plan invitations a few weeks before the wedding might not be the quickest way to reach them. Well, but on the flip side, if you're gonna get paper invitations, like you don't need to have the unfancy ones because you're embarrassed your friends are gonna see it. It's a fucking wedding invitation. It's gonna look fancy no matter what you do to it.
And then and good point, Jason. And because then Jordan was like, can't we just get something simple? It's like, shut up. Shut up. You're not paying for this.
His buddies are going to make fun of him because they got this.
Your homophobic friends are going to make fun.
I don't know of a single straight guy that has ever gotten a wedding invitation and been like, it's not butch enough for me. Like you understand that there's a feminine touch from the bride.
Right. Your homophobic friends who probably aren't getting laid themselves, who are mad that you're getting married because you're getting laid, are going to like disparage your wedding invitations and imply that you're gay when you're getting laid by a woman and they're not getting laid by anybody. Shut up.
We gave this whole argument a huge narrative.
This movie was triggering me at this point. I was very mad.
Yeah, no, you get an invitation in the mail. You're like, I know this wasn't from the guy.
Yeah,
right.
I get Christmas cards like that too sometimes. Like, I know my buddy didn't send me this.
Like there's like Axe body spray for like manly scents in the shower. They need to have some sort of like manly, like super hyper masculine wedding invitation where it's like it's got like orange flames on it, and then like you open it and like smoke comes out, and like there's a guitar lick playing, and they're like, someone's getting married.
Right.
Sammy Hagar.
Okay, so now this part though, I do have to side with them on, because they asked about the guest list, And Molly was like, "Oh, I've created the guest list." And they're like, "Well, wait. So you created the guest list without us?
Assholism.
And it's our wedding.
Assholism.
So that was an asshole part of that. Right. That was assholey on.
That was a huge asshole move, in my opinion. That honestly was probably the worst thing she did in the movie. Yeah, that was heinous, and they underreacted to it in the most nonchalant. Well, like they should have had a bigger reaction to that.
Yeah, because that's like, wait, so you're gonna pick my friends? Because there's probably people that Molly didn't like that Molly was gonna exclude.
Yep.
And you
don't know who, like, what if Sophia and Jordan like are having a feud with somebody?
Right. Exactly. And then because I don't know about.
Wait, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't know about you guys, but whenever I've had friends in the past, like, hey, we're gonna surprise you and do something and set up the invite list themselves, they always inadvertently leave someone out who I'm friends with who maybe they don't know well. Stuff like that always happens.
I had some friends throw me a surprise birthday party. I think it might have been for my 30th, not my 30th, but the early 30s. And they went into the Outlook on my computer and they invited everyone in the Outlook. And I'm like, there are people that I have that are contacts that I don't want coming to my birthday party. There are people that I have in my contacts that I haven't deleted because I'm not one of those people that deletes when I'm fighting with someone. It was one of the worst things in the world. Like, I don't ever want a surprise party again.
So who showed up?
Thankfully, nobody that I didn't really want to be there. But there were like one or two where I was like, well, I wouldn't have invited them. I mean, not terrible that they're here, but all right, whatever. It thankfully wasn't horrible, but the thought of it was horrible.
But yeah,
so
what's that, Kurt?
I was gonna say, you walk in the room and you hear surprise, and you walk in the room surprise, and you're just kind of glancing the landscape.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it wasn't a huge crowd, thankfully, but like my face kind of went white of like, oh no, what has happened here?
Right. Like, why is this asshole here?
Yeah.
Why is this group of...
Yeah.
It's the Avengers, the people that I'm not sure I want to hear from.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
So then Terrence takes the ladies to go get their nails done, which is nice.
And watches them kind of creepily.
Yeah, that was weird.
He's just watching.
Well, because I was wondering if he was going to get his nails done too.
Yeah, it was weird that he was sort of like standing and grandstanding in front of them. Like, just sit down and talk to the girls while you're getting yours done too.
Right, like, hey girl, I'm going to use clear polish.
Yeah. Part of it was the way it was shot, though. We didn't know he was standing there. Like, first you see them having like a girls' spa day, and all of a sudden it's just shot of him just like hovering over.
It was kind of funny the way they cut to that, because it really did seem like, oh, they're getting like a private mani-pedi or whatever, and he just happens to be there.
Why?
So then,
enjoying yourselves.
So it's so funny though, because then he asks Molly, so what kind of photography do you do? And she said, I do portraiture. What did it? Portraiture.
Oh yeah,
portraiture.
Portraiture, yeah.
I do portraiture. And then he's like, hey, well, send me your portfolio. Maybe I can pass along to somebody. Which was nice of him.
Yeah, it was nice of him. And I thought at first that it was an empty gesture, and he does actually end up passing it along.
Right.
He meant it.
And then they were like, we wish our mom was here. Our mom would have loved this. And that was the part where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
So then the guys were at the pool drinking frou-frou drinks.
The guys are at the pool laying down on sun chairs while they were fully clothed.
And it's like, listen, weird. I know. Take your shirt off.
Take your shirt off. Well, and
Or shoot
also, they probably wouldn't have been at the pool at this time of year because if we're 5 or 6 weeks out from Valentine's Day, that would put it like right around New Year, which means it's kind of chilly in LA.
Yes, it is.
Well, how chilly though? Because those people.
No, but it'd be like 40. No, it gets chilly.
No,
At night, it can get to 40, yeah. At night.
40.
Yeah. That's cold, Kurt.
I know it's cold. If I'm living in California, I don't want 40 degrees.
We literally get it like 2 days a year, Kurt. Calm down.
It's like a week.
Yeah.
It's literally like a week, and then it's back to it's 58. Brr, get my jacket.
58. We have a friend in California. We know from not Fresno. We know her from Fresno, but she like lives in the mountains in California. There's like a snowstorm up there. I'm like, why do you live in California?
Well,
what's the point?
That's why we don't do that.
There.
Okay. So then this is the part where I wanted to jump through the TV and punch Jordan in the face.
Like that aha video.
I really did because Cody's like, so are you sure you're fine with this Beverly Hills stuff? And Jordan's like, I can't take the opulence. And it's like, it's not that opulent. It's not like you're like in Bel Air somewhere. You're in Century City.
They weren't even in Century City. Like at that hotel, like every time they would show stuff at the hotel, I'm like, it's a decent hotel, but it's not like a 5-star Beverly Hills hotel. It was like a very generic tower hotel in any big city.
It's not like they were at the Pretty Woman Hotel. Right. It's not like they were at the Regent Beverly Wilshire or something.
Correct.
Yeah, it was like it was a hotel.
Mm-hmm. And in fact, like I don't know if it's this way in other parts of the country, but usually the more fancy the hotel, the smaller and more boutique-y they are.
And P.S. These people were successful farmers. They were not poor.
Well, he knows the word opulent. He's not dumb either.
Right. It's like they're acting like it's like, the Beverly Hillbillies or something. It's like you guys, they were like, they showed their home. Their home was not like a poor person's home.
Their families had massive houses. Yeah.
So then Jordan and Sophia want to go on a date night. Molly is trying to cock block them, and they're like, Corey jumps in and is like, no, Molly, come with me. So she then ends up giving her portfolio. Oh, she calls her assistant back in Oregon and has her assistant send her portfolio to give to Terrence. And then this next part, I wanted to kick Corey in the head.
I wanted to kick the filmmakers in the head in the next part.
Okay, the filmmakers. Because it's like, I'm just going to prove that I'm not into this. I'm not into this money stuff. So I'm just going to show you how down home I can be. And so then they're driving through Beverly Hills on a bicycle built for two.
Yeah, this is what pissed me off. So this pissed me off because this is not something you would do in Beverly Hills. There are no tandem bikes in Beverly Hills unless you're like a hardcore cyclist that you're training for like a tandem bike race. If you want the touristy tandem bike, you're going to do it down at the beach. You know why you're not going to ride a tandem bike in Beverly Hills? Because of the hills. Where the fuck are you going to ride a tandem bike in Beverly Hills? And they don't do food trucks in Beverly Hills either.
And the bike lanes are skinny, so you wouldn't even be able to go on the bike lane.
The only place where they have a bike lane, and it's only been there for 2 years, is along Santa Monica Boulevard. Beverly Hills is not bike friendly at all.
So then,
unless you take a bike tour with the company that I work for. Honestly, if you're on like the side streets and stuff, you could do it, but like you wouldn't want to ride a tandem bike through there.
No.
The only food trucks you see are outside someone's house if they're doing construction and it's there for the crew.
Right. because they went to like Food Truck Alley, like, whoa, we're gonna have a down home date. And another PS, when you go to those specialty food trucks, you're like throwing your nose up at how much money is being spent. Those specialty food trucks, the food on those food trucks is not cheap.
Yeah, it's pricey.
It's very pricey because it's specialty food.
They do have food trucks there.
We have food trucks in Los Angeles, but you will never see like a food truck row of any sort in Beverly Hills that I've ever seen. Maybe during one of the art fairs, but not like a daytime gathering spot like they had in this movie.
Is it possible they ventured out?
No, that was Beverly Hills.
No, because he even mentioned that their mode of transportation was going to be, I forget what he said, but then you see them on the tandem bike, so that's how they traveled from the hotel.
And you know what, though? If they would have gone on one of those, like, scooter things or
like a bird scooter.
The birds, I would have been fine with that. That would not have annoyed me.
They could have done that, but they would have had to leave Beverly Hills to get one.
True.
Because you can't leave
Hollywood.
You can't leave them in West Hollywood or Beverly Hills. So
There's no more birds in West. There's no more.
Not for like over a year. West Hollywood, you can ride the bird through the city. They can't ban that. But you're not allowed to.
I've seen them. But I've seen people riding them.
But the app is set up where cities that don't want them there, like you can't lock the scooter there, so you have to leave the city limits. And so that's why, like right on the outside edge of West Hollywood, you'll always see a ton of scooters, like along Melrose, for instance.
Yeah,
because it's like right on the city's edge.
Oh, they have those here too. Yeah, you would just like leave the scooters around.
Yeah,
I just realized what you're talking about.
So they're at the food truck. And they have a moment, and they're eating like crepes or something.
Yeah, strawberry.
The food truck crepes are good.
Yeah,
I do like food truck food.
So do I.
And so then he's talking.
Man, I love sweets, but crepes. I'm not a huge crepe fan.
Really?
That's surprising. I love a crepe.
Turd, I'm shocked.
I guess maybe I haven't had it enough.
It's like it's almost like if you had like say a strawberry pancake, but the cake part were thin, but were like wrapped around it like a burrito.
It's all right. It's not one of my favorite things.
I'm shocked because that seems like that would be right up your alley.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to try it again because I don't think I've had it too often.
Yeah, and then you could have different types, and you could have like savory crepes or sweet crepes. Mm-hmm. Oh, so then he kind of starts shading her. Corey starts kind of shading Molly because she's never left their town. And he's basically like, where do you see yourself being in the town the rest of your life? And she then's like, well, I stayed because of my family. And Corey's like, well, you can leave and still love your family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very surprising message from a Hallmark movie. Normally, it's you're you're living in a godless hellscape if you're not back home.
Well,
they're not.
I've been noticing a trend in Hallmark movies lately. Or actually, wait. Oh no, it started on the Lifetime movie. What was the movie? Actually, wait, I won't say because then I will. Actually, I'll save that because I don't want to give away the ending.
Oh,
but there's a trend. There's a trend going on right now that I'm noticing in Hallmark movies.
That's very noble of you.
Yeah.
Well, since I was accused last time of ruining Cobra Kai for the world.
Well, you did.
I don't want another Cobra Kai incident on my head.
Well, don't look at me. I'm not the one who gave you all those comments.
So, so they're talking, and she's like, "Well, why didn't you ask me to go with you?" And my thought was, well, the way you're acting right now, being this bossy bitch, of course, I get why he didn't ask you to go. But then he was like, he said, if I was afraid that if I would have asked you to go, you would have said no. Which,
and maybe she would have.
But then he could have been like, whew.
Yeah, seriously.
I asked her, and She doesn't have to come.
Because that assholism is contagious.
So then Molly gives Terrence her portfolio, and then they're looking for flowers. And okay, this is the part I want to smack him in this part too.
Who?
So I want to smack Jordan because so they're first talking about flowers.
Yeah.
And then they have like, we could do Japanese cherries, we could do air plants, And then Molly and Sophia were like, well, we could do peonies because it was our mom's favorite flower, which I thought, oh, that's nice.
Nice.
And then Jordan was like, well, can't we just do daisies? And it's like, you asshole.
Okay, I'm going to defend Jordan in this moment. I understand why you're upset, but remember, so earlier in the movie when we saw, actually at 2 points, earlier in the movie when we saw the picture of Jordan and Sophia when they were little, they made a big point of saying that they didn't have rings, so he took a daisy and turned it into a ring. And then when he proposed to her, he had daisies laying on the swing that he had her sit on. So it's their flower. It actually is something very special to the two of them.
But then he could have presented it that way.
He shouldn't have to. He's the fucking one getting married.
Why are they there? It's like they went there without even knowing what this all entailed.
Because Molly and her assholism just made it happen, and then they find themselves like in this whirlwind that they had no control over.
You don't let someone push you around like that. You got to figure out.
Well, that's what he's doing. He's standing up for himself.
Stand up, Molly. And then Molly.
Crazies. I'm trying not to say the F word. I already said it once today.
Oh, I've said it several times. Fuck. I said it again.
And then Molly, I wanted to shake her too because she's like, I like carnations. And I'm like, who are you? Carnations. Who are you? Who raised you? Carnations.
Anyway.
Carnations.
Carnations. That's like what you wear when you're a kid and it's St. Patrick's Day. You wear like a green carnation.
Carnations.
Look, I have a flower. I'm wearing a flower.
They make a good instant breakfast
at that point.
The only time I've ever wore a carnation.
So then they go to like this tasting. And cute Kendall, because they were all like, once again, like judgy and like, this is an Oregon, and judgy. And Kendall's like, well, look, dudes, I'm from Oregon too. And then they were nice to Kendall after that. And then, it was a champagne tasting.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was like, Jordan's like, well, do we have to have champagne? Can't we have beer? And I'm like, shut up. I hate you. I didn't even drink. And I was offended.
I feel like for the toast, you absolutely should have champagne. But for the bar, you should have, like, let people drink whatever they're going to want to drink.
He's just being a pain in the ass. Can we have beer? Yeah, you can have beer. You could also have water and soda.
Right.
Imagine that. I could be a planner.
You can have a variety of drinks. How about that?
Diet Coke.
Right. Because not everybody drinks. You're going to have a
champagne tasting thing. I'm not a champagne connoisseur.
At first, I thought that Kurt was going to be disappointed because they were replacing the cake tasting scene in the movie with this, but then we see a cake tasting later, so all was redeemed.
Yeah. Right. I'd love to be in that cake tasting environment. Yeah, I really sit there when I watch those scenes. I'm like putting a strategy in my head. Now, how could I get to eat a slice of every one of those cakes? I'd have to do it. I'd have to, I have to get an economical size slice and eat.
Kurt,
are you the kind of guy that like you plan out your meal if you know you're going to an all-you-can-eat something place?
A plot.
Yeah. I would.
Like those people that like they win a shopping spree and they like get blueprints of the store and they figure it all out ahead of time.
I went to a buffet in Atlantic City one time and they had a whole bunch of desserts and I was trying to like cut cut different ones in half so I can have more of a variety. And the guy got mad. So you can't do that. Oh, man. Yeah,
that's funny.
I'm glad I get to watch these cake eating scenes because my strategy is going to pay off someday, and I will be in a position where I can take cakes.
Would you ever be like on Cake Boss?
Yeah, I guess. Why not?
You should go and nailed it, Kurt.
There's not much I say no to. I'm sorry, what was that, Jason?
You should go and nailed it on Netflix. Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's so and I don't watch a lot of like cooking, baking shows. I watch very few of them, but Nailed It is really funny. They get 3 amateur bakers. They're not like trying to be a professional baker. They just like baking in their own time, and they give them a relatively simple recipe. And then they have to like make this creation that looks like the photo, and none of them ever look like the photo. And so, you know, when they unveil it, it always looks so sad and dilapidated. And they always present it by saying like, "Nailed it." Very funny.
I'll do all right though. I'm a pretty good baker. I make cakes. I made a pretty
I bet you are a good baker, Kurt.
I made a pretty mean pie from scratch.
Yeah,
so.
but you're on the under a clock, like under the spotlight when you're doing it on the show.
Oh, I don't know how that would go.
Yeah,
it'd probably go okay.
So then they're trying on the wedding dresses, which I was infuriated. And at this point, I'm texting Jason and Kurt, and they're trying on dresses, and I'm like, okay, it's a montage scene. I'm calming down.
Yeah.
See, I knew that you'd be happy it was a montage. I thought it was a weak montage though, because they were using like really wacky music for the montage, like it was going to be a bunch of like bad dresses, but the editing was too slow and didn't match the wackiness of what they were trying to do.
Oh no, it was a lame montage, but at the point in this movie, I was grasping for straws, so I'd take anything I could get.
Right.
And I did feel sorry for Sophia in this part because she wanted to dress like her mother's dress, and Molly and Terrence were like giving her shade about it, which it's like if she has access to this entire dress shop, I'm sure there's a dress like her mother's dress in this dress shop, and you should let her pick out what she wants.
She wanted to wear her mother's dress, though.
Yes.
I think the actual dress.
Yeah.
Wait,
and some of the ones she was trying on weren't that pretty.
No.
I'm surprised these sisters get along as well as they do. They don't seem to be in very good communication. This sister's getting married has a very clear vision of what she wants, and the older sister's just ignoring it.
She doesn't have a backbone.
No.
She capitulates to asshole Molly like at every turn.
And imagine the guilt trip. This Molly is like giving up her life so she could tell her sister what to do.
Oh yeah.
And Molly's like, I paid for your grad school.
Yeah, I paid for her grad school. Yeah, she probably thinks she owes her. So, what a sickness.
Because she did. She said she paid for her grad school.
I'm glad these people aren't my life.
So then we're at Kurt's favorite part of the movie, the cake tasting.
Cake tasting. We're there. We just talked about that.
No, we still have the tux fitting.
The tux fitting.
It's easy for guys. They just wear tux.
Yeah, they look nice in the tuxes,
though. There were some ugly
though.
tuxes too, though.
Yeah, they look good in their tuxes, and then Kendall makes them do a boomerang. Which is that still even a thing? First of all, and second of all, even if it is, he was holding the phone in the wrong orientation, so they had like a wide boomerang. You always want to do it like upright because it's going on Instagram.
Right.
Well, that's a movie with Eddie Murphy. Boomerang.
It is. Yes.
I love that. I love that Eddie Murphy movie. I love Boomerang.
Yeah, that was good.
With Grace Jones and Robin Givens. And Halle Berry. That was one of Halle Berry's first movies.
Halle Berry is lovely.
Actually, that was the movie where Halle Berry played the unattractive girl. What kind of casting was that? Remember, Halle Berry's character was kind of low-key. She wasn't ugly, but she was kind of more like the shyer kind of...
She was probably the more business-minded one as opposed to like the voluptuous, like bombshell.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really remember it, but I've met Hallie a couple times, and she was lovely both times. I met her on that movie Executive Decision, where I got my SAG card, where I worked alongside Hallie and Marla Maples Trump. And then she came into the shop where I work once, and I was helping her. And then after she left, I was like, oh wait, that was Halle Berry. I didn't realize because she had sunglasses on, and her kid was with her. And I was like, wait, that kid looked familiar because I've seen photos. And then I was like, oh, I knew her voice, and I recognized Halle after she left.
But she's one of those people. Halle Berry's one of those people. When I hear stories about her being out and about or going to stores or something, I always hear like nice stories about her.
Yeah, she's very, very humble, and she's really nice, and normal.
She was in that movie, Strictly Business. Like that's the one she did like before Boomerang. Strictly Business.
But I think Boomerang. I think that was like early on in her career before she could be like the va-va-voom.
Yeah, 92, I think, was Boomerang. I went to see that in the theater.
With Strunze, right? Grace Jones.
Hallie also starred in... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead about Grace.
I don't know, I was just going to... That was the one he's like, I'm gay. She's like, you're not gay, he's gay.
That's right.
Hallie was also in I don't know if it was just a pilot or it was a short-lived series. It was a spin-off of Who's the Boss.
Yes, Models something.
Was it Models Inc. or it had Models in the title? Yeah.
No,
it wasn't Models Inc., but it was about models. Yeah. Michael Learned from The Waltons was in it too.
And wasn't Leah Remini in it?
I think so.
Yeah. All right, keep talking. I'm going to look it up.
Models Inc. I think I know we're going off the rails.
Models Inc. was a spin-off of Melrose Place.
There was a model show that Ashton Kutcher produced, and because I was doing extra work, and I heard that they canceled the show during lunch. They were having lunch. The show's done.
Living Dolls.
Do they at least get their? That's okay. Yes. Yeah.
That was the Ashton Kutcher show.
No, that was the Halle Berry, Michael Learned, Leah Remini show.
So wait,
it was a spin-off of Who's the Boss.
No, okay.
So wait, they canceled the show during lunch. Did they still get their lunch?
I guess when people
probably it's already
lunch,
paid for at
that
point.
They had to go home. The network said, I think I heard this secondhand, but the network said, we're done. We're not spending any more money on it. We're done. You close up shop at lunch. That's it.
But I'd be bummed if I didn't get
not shooting any.
Lunch on set is normally like a good lunch.
Yeah. I'm sure they serve lunch because it was probably already paid for, though. If the caterers are already there, they're getting paid anyway. They probably said, you have to sign out. You're not getting paid anymore, but if you still want lunch, you can eat it.
No, you would get paid like a straight 8 or whatever, and you get your lunch and you're done. Straight at 8 hours or less. Yeah. You get paid for 8 hours. I don't know, it's been over a year since. So all right, let's go on. Here we go.
So this cake. Okay, so then Jordan's bitching about the cake. He's bitching about the cake. Kurt, how'd you feel about him bitching about the cake?
I'm enraged. I wouldn't complain about any of this. I have a vacation. I'm by the pool. What else? I got this nice room. I want that nice room. Look how I'm living. I want to be in some Beverly Hills room. I'd move in. I'd squat.
The room was mediocre. The cake. I still say if the wedding's gonna suck, if you're not gonna like it, what's the point? It's ultimately a party for the two people getting married, and if I'm having a party at my place, I'm gonna want it to be catered to things that I like. Otherwise, it's not gonna be an enjoyable party.
I would have 2 weddings. I'd have their big blowout wedding, and then have a small wedding.
But then, because then he was like, cake. He's like, he either wanted white cake or chocolate cake, and then he was like, oh, I guess I'll get chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
Salted caramel. I'd like, that's a good cake. Salted caramel cake.
He's like, well, maybe it's either chocolate or vanilla. I'd say to him, do you want to be here? Do you have to be an asshole? You're gonna complain about everything. You got a free vacation. And I know, because listen, I've driven from New Jersey to Orlando. I've stayed in a hotel in like South Carolina that was like, it was lime green walls. I had to lock the door. I was afraid of the people next door. And then you turn on the TV, there's a hardcore pornography channel on 24 hours a day. So trust me, I would appreciate staying in that room in Beverly Hills.
So this next part, I feel that he didn't fight hard enough because they're like, well, what kind of cake do you like? And he's like, I do like a blueberry cobbler. And they kind of scoffed at it, but it's like, no, you fight for that. You're like, no, you get your chef and you make me a blueberry cobbler.
It'd be messy. Have a bunch of desserts. I've been at weddings where they have a variety of desserts.
Yeah. Well, and they even talk about that like the cake is not a thing that you necessarily need to do anymore. But like the chef and Terrence, there's like this guy clearly works on a farm that has blueberries as one of his things because he made that blueberry jam. Like dumbass wedding planner should have been like, let's work blueberries into one of the cake proposals. Like, how hard would that fucking be?
Yeah, do some homework.
True.
I'm angry. I keep saying the F word.
Then this part made me mad too. Because
my goal is this show to be played at Christian school detentions, to entertain the children, or study halls.
So then,
right after, like, as you're talking about being in a room next to where hardcore porn was playing.
Right.
I didn't say any profanity. I didn't curse.
And I think the reason why some of this triggers me is because some of the stuff, like, I've been through myself and I know how much money some of the shit costs, like the rings. They like gave stank-face about the rings and it's like, do you know how much wedding rings cost? You're getting it for free. Shut up and just pick an expensive one that you like.
Were they going to give her a diamond? They were going to give her a ring?
Well, the wedding bands, not the engagement ring, because she got he got her an engagement ring. That's when he proposed. But the wedding bands.
That cost it. Well, I mean, depending on what you get.
Yeah.
But they were getting kind of stink-faced about that. And it's like, take them. That's money. That's more money towards your house.
Well, I would take like the most expensive ring and then just go like sell it if you don't like it.
Right. Like, or if you get divorced, you just pawn it.
These people have problems.
No,
I just feel grateful that I don't have people like this in my life. Like, we all have problems with Jesus.
So then this is the part that enraged me the most. Okay, so then Corey's like, Molly, let's go to the beach. And this is what enraged me the most. Because they go to the beach. I personally have been to that beach. In Vancouver.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't Los Angeles because the flowers were too colorful for the fact that we live in a desert.
I've been to that beach in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
And that's why I was just done.
Maybe they drove to Vancouver. Beach here is a bit cold. Well, we're up north.
So then they go to Terrence's house, which was supposed to be a Beverly Hills mansion, but it kind of reminded me of like Norma Desmond.
You
kind of broke down.
Before we get to that, you forget that Molly and Corey, as they're talking at not a beach in Los Angeles, they're having a nice conversation, and like not Jordan, Corey leans in for a kiss, and Molly self-cock blocks.
Yes. Because Corey was cute.
Yeah.
I give him that. Corey was cute.
Yeah.
And yes, I think that Molly like ADHD or something.
Assholism.
Yeah.
Assholism. Assholism.
Yeah. Assholism. Yeah. Yeah. He says. So at some point he says he's dirty smooth. Was that something that was said?
Yeah, something like that. Darkly smooth or dirty. It's darkly smooth or dirty smooth, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, something like that was said. Anyway.
So then they go to Norma Desmond, Terrence's house.
It was absurdly huge.
Yes.
Like, Les, what do you think something like that, if he lived in Beverly Hills, as I believe they said he did, something like that in Beverly Hills, what do you think that runs?
Be like a $20 million home.
At least, yeah.
Because it was huge. It was humongous.
Yeah.
And sterile looking, but humongous.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Terrence, this is the part, I love how they didn't say Terrence was gay, but then Terrence is like, this is my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, they worked it in. Terrence's very unattractive husband.
Aw.
He makes him laugh.
He was not attractive.
I didn't say it wasn't true. I just odd.
And then I wrote here, all of a sudden, there are lots of gays on the Hallmark Channel. Like they're all in now.
It's basically like an Atlantis cruise.
Right. They are like all in. They're like, we are embracing the gay and we are going with it.
Is this like a logo all of a sudden, right? Is that that's
Yeah.
Logo.
So then they go and they're having like a food tasting. Wait. No, so they go and they're having dance lessons.
Yeah.
And so
Given by Kendall.
Kendall was a former ballroom dancer.
Ooh, multi-talented.
And so like they're doing the dance lessons. The fiance can't dance well, but whatever, like it was no big deal. And so then Terrence actually looks at Molly's portfolio and he loves it.
These are stunning.
Yeah, he loves it, and he's like, I'm gonna pass it on. And then Terrence's husband was kind of giving Terrence a little shade, like judgy looks.
Right. Well, because he said something like, I love that you're doing this for these people or something like that. And Terrence is like, yeah, and I get a great deal from all my vendors when it goes well. And the husband's like, well, you used to do it because you liked helping people.
And then I would have turned around and said, you're liking this mansion, aren't you?
I'd be like, hey,
we don't know what Gary did. Like, maybe that was Gary's money.
Gary. Hey, Gary, that's why I have the mansion. You don't have a mansion because you're delivering Grubhub. All right, dude?
Like if
right?
if we're rudely accepting the premise that Gary wasn't as attractive as Terrence, maybe Terrence married Gary for the money.
It could be. And if this was Lifetime, that would be it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And then they'd have like a man chained in the basement, like a young guy.
Finally, logical advice regarding marriage.
So then, so Terrence is like, you are truly talented, and I'm seriously going to pass this on to somebody.
Stunning. You know who says that a lot? Tom Cruise. You ever hear like in interviews, he says everything is stunning. So then this next part, I was just like, okay, people, I'm done with all of you. Where to go?
Because they're at a food tasting. They're at the food tasting, and what pushed everything over the edge was the fact that they had seaweed bonbons and cold fish soup, which actually to me sounded pretty good.
Well, I wouldn't like that.
None of them liked it. None of them.
Nah.
But instead of saying, hey, I don't like this, why don't we have steak and comfort food? Because since this is my wedding after all, why don't you get your world-renowned chef to work with me on this? They were just like, we're done. We quit. The wedding is over.
Well, also, when you're catering an event, you're not just catering to the people that are the guests of honor. You also have to take in consideration there's going to be, probably a couple hundred people, all with different food tastes in food and allergies. So you're going to need a few options that are like normal.
And this is California, where they really do pay attention to your food allergies.
Yeah.
Now, seaweed bonbons and what else? Fish soup?
Yeah, but then if this was truly a California wedding, if this was truly a California wedding, they would have the meat option, the vegan option, the gluten-free option, the keto option. They'd have all sorts of options.
Yeah.
Everybody's on some kind of diet.
They got the Nutrisystem option. You actually get like a Nutrisystem meal.
Yeah. I didn't have a problem with the fact that there might be like unusual food at this wedding, and I'm the pickiest eater on the planet. I had a problem with the fact that the fucking wedding planner and there I go again. The wedding planner and the chef were so unrelenting to expanding the menu beyond the weird stuff.
And I think the reason why I got kind of mad too is the fact that we find out that there was actually another couple picked, but Molly's essay was so good, Terrence dropped the other couple and replaced them with Molly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, yeah, he said that.
Yeah, that's another Lifetime movie right there.
The husband said that.
Like, I want to follow their story. Like
because
how their lives
like,
fell
okay,
apart after
guys,
this.
I was like, you guys like pouted this entire time, and there could have been another couple who would have like loved this.
Yeah, who actually would have enjoyed it. See, this is that thing. There should have been like a Zoom meeting, where they could just go through different things. Maybe actually have a conversation. This is
right.
This is an example of terrible communication between people.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So they're like, so then they all go back. They leave. They leave. Corey and Molly had a fight, right? I just think because my dad says, I promised my mother and you left me. So that was Corey and Molly having that fight, right?
Molly's digging up the same old song, like that Digital Underground song, the same old song. All around the world, the same song. She's saying, like, you left and didn't. Yeah, how many times have we been through this?
Like, that was like 10 years ago. Move on. Like,
we've already talked about it. I'm going to curse. All right,
yeah, go ahead. I'll do it for you. Fuck.
God, Molly.
But Jordan and Sophia get pissed off and leave. Then Corey gets pissed off and leaves. And then Molly, once again, takes it upon herself to decide that, well, the Beverly Hills wedding is off.
Right.
None of these assholes should be together, by the way. They're not going to get along. They could try to get together, but this Corey and Molly, that's not going to work. They're not resolving anything. It's going to go on and on and on. And then the other stupid couple, they break up. I don't even know why.
Well, Jordan and Sophia have been basically dating since they were 5. Corey and Molly were best friends. Like, are there no other people in this town for any of them to meet and at least explore the idea that maybe I didn't meet the one when I was a toddler?
Right.
Get out in the world, yeah.
So then
they probably dated some other people in the maternity ward, when they were
the maternity ward.
Old. They played the field at that point, and then they moved on.
Right. So they go home. They go back to Oregon, and so I guess they brought Aunt Bea some chocolates because they're sitting at the table, and she's like, "Wow, you didn't need that wedding anyway." As she shoves chocolate in her mouth.
Yeah.
Who is she to talk?
And then the dad is like, "Well, when your mother and I used to fight, she would make a big pot of tea and we would drink that pot of tea and we wouldn't go to bed until the fight was solved.
Really?
So I'll go make some tea." And then the aunt.
They didn't know their parents ever had fights. They're like, you fought?
Right. I'm like, gee.
That's like my dad. He says, we never had fights. Like, what? They had fights in front of us. Okay. But these kids, they actually did. The parents actually did hide their fighting.
And then the aunt was like, "Well, I'm going to bed now," and takes her chocolate.
That's what I'm saying. It was the only character trait they allowed that poor woman to have is, she likes chocolates out of a box.
And the chocolate was almost gone anyway.
Yeah.
See, I would share. I would just sit there and eat all the chocolate.
There's probably another layer. You lift off like that first layer of the Whitman sampler box, and there's more down below. I think it was that.
And then you take a little bite.
I like the surprise chocolates when where like they don't tell you what's in it, you know? Because sometimes like on the roof of the box they'll have a little outline.
I loved when they would have the little grid on the box because there was some that I just didn't like, and I'm like, well, if you know, because I was a fat kid, so my parents would try and limit me when I was like overeating on the chocolates and stuff, and so they would be like, oh, you can only have 2, so I'd want to know like, well, which 2 am I gonna get?
Right, because you can't play roulette if you only can get 2. Then
right,
because sometimes, you know, in my experience, you got to bite into a couple of them before you bite.
Yeah, I don't want the one with like that jelly in it.
Ew,
no,
yeah, those. Ugh.
I don't want a walnut one.
Yeah.
No, I don't like no, I don't like walnuts.
I like a
chocolate.
good. I like a good cream one.
Yes, for sure. Or like white chocolate. I love white chocolate. Oh, okay. So then they had their pot. Sophia and Molly had their pot of tea, and stayed up and drank the pot of tea. So then Molly then goes to the farm to apologize with a little gift, and Jordan is like, "Oh, Molly, I can't be mad at you."
I could.
And so then they apologize, but then we cut back to Terrence's house, and it's really scandalous because the gays are eating the blueberry jam
on like the most gigantic piece of toast ever.
Well, no one else around, I guess.
And I was like, oh. And of course,
you're just talking about chocolates.
Well, this is so funny to me because the toast was gigantic, and Gary is like slathering on the jam that Jordan made, and then both when he takes a bite out of it, and it was like the loudest crunch sound that the sound effects guy could have,
right?
Fine, because it was like crunch, 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 like people that have that what did they call that when misophonia, which is like you don't like the sound of people chewing, like they were all just killing themselves in that moment.
And then Terrence takes a bite and like has an orgasm.
Yeah.
Damn.
And he was like, "Oh, it reminds me of home back in Maine."
Jesus.
So it's like, you're like, "Oh, Terrence was a small town guy too," until he got corrupted in the mean streets of WeHo.
Yeah, they couldn't have jam anymore.
And by WeHo, we mean Montreal.
Right. Rue St. Catherine. That's the gay street in Montreal. Rue St. Catherine.
I love Montreal.
I do too.
Never been.
Montreal's fun.
That is a beautiful city.
Oh, okay. So then Terrence gets an idea. And so they're all at Sophia and Molly's house, and the phone rings, and Terrence is like, "Guess what? I have an idea. We can have a Beverly Hills wedding in Oregon."
Which I don't even know what that means.
So then we find out.
Like, I don't know that.
Basically, we're going to go to your...
I know what it ends up being because I saw the movie, but like I hear the phrase Beverly Hills wedding in Oregon, and I feel like, oh, you're gonna have a red carpet, and you're gonna have like those big spotlights, and you're basically walking down a red carpet that is lined with fake Oscars. That's what I think of.
Right.
Yeah. You're gonna have a big screen showing all the episodes of Beverly Hills Bunts with Dennis, what's that guy's name?
Dennis Franz? Is it Dennis Franz? No, not Dennis. Dennis Farina.
No, it was Dennis Franz, right? Dennis Farina is a different guy.
Well, Dennis Franz was the one on NYPD Blue. Dennis Farina is what he always plays like a mob guy or like a cop.
Dennis Franz,
mustache.
Okay. Dennis Franz was Beverly Hills Bunts, I think, before NYPD Blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so now this plot was we've heard this plot before.
No, we didn't
because Terrence was like, the reason why I was so adamant about this is because my husband and I met on Valentine's Day. Wasn't that a plot of another movie?
A couple movies, yeah, a couple.
So they need a new one.
I told you they have like one of those lotto ball things of different plot points, and they just like pick a few out and they put them in the movie.
Actually, we can ask Nina about this when she comes and we talk to her.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because I am curious about that.
We need questions.
Because this was definitely it's something we've heard several times, and the person's really controlling just because Valentine's Day is when they met the love of their life, and so they want everybody else to experience that. Oh, and then Terrence says a Beverly Hills wedding can happen anywhere. Okay. Oh, but sure. Terrence did turn out to be a good guy because he did get Molly this fabulous gallery showing. And they had 4 weeks to get the wedding together. So then...
She gets to wear her mother's ratty wedding dress.
Mm-hmm. With an empire waist, which I was like, isn't an empire waist normally when the bride is kind of pregnant?
I don't know.
Because doesn't the empire waist make you look like you don't have a shape? So
well, she was pretty thin, and you can kind of get away with it when you're really stick skinny wearing a dress that's that like drapey down below.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So they have the wedding, they have the reception. They read Molly's essay as part of the reception. It is a good essay.
Oh, that was Corey's toast at the wedding was the speech. I actually thought that was the nicest touch in the movie, that we A, get to hear the speech, and B, it's actually really good, and C, they gave you, Les, a montage of the wedding since we didn't really see the ceremony. So they do a montage of the wedding as the speech is being written. It was very well edited. Yes. It was a nice use of that speech.
Well, at that point, I think that they felt that they needed to throw me a bone since I endured this.
This was all for you, yes.
Oh, okay. So then we have the wedding. It goes well. Molly tells... So this is the thing that I was talking about, this new trend in Hallmark movies. Because Molly tells Corey she's falling in love with him. He says he's falling in love with her. But then we find out because of this gallery thing, she's probably going to move to LA because her career is going to take off now.
Wait a minute. How long is she in this gallery for? What's she going to do?
I guess it was some big name gallery.
Stand there in the gallery, say, look, I did this.
Why?
You go to an opening, you have an opening, and then this stuff stays in the gallery for
no, you ideally you're selling it. So people are, rich people are coming in saying like, oh, that looks lovely. I'll pay the $5,000 for that photo.
And so like Terrence turned out to be like a connection for her. So now she's going to move to LA for her career, which is what she always wanted to do anyway. And so then she's like, well, what are we going to do? I'm moving to LA. And then Corey's like, well, we'll figure it out. And he made it sound like he was going to go with her to LA, which this is a whole new thing in Hallmark movies where they talk about either a potential, like the girl doesn't just move to the other town and give up her life anymore. The woman is now moving for her career. And the guy's like, okay, well, you move for your career and we'll make this work.
Yeah. All right. Good luck.
And they're moving to LA, which is where all the Lifetime movies take place. So there's going to be a murder in the next one.
Right.
I wasn't convinced that they were in love when they said, I think I'm falling in love. And
they had no chemistry.
I don't think they are.
I don't think they had chemistry at all.
No.
Well, so just think. This time next year, we'll be watching it. She'll be wearing a black hoodie. Mm-hmm. He'll be with another woman. She'll be taking pictures.
Yeah. He'll be with another woman, that's for sure.
And it'll be the wrong photographer.
And she'll be passing herself off as a wedding planner.
Right. And then Fox was not right.
Right. This was a tragedy.
This movie annoyed me.
Oh.
This movie annoyed me.
Oh, well.
It made me angry. It annoyed me. But you know what they said?
Oh, no, I said they should have seen, like, they were all in, like, Schwabs and covered, like Lana Turner.
Wearing a tight sweater. Oh, that's right, because there's that one part, they were walking through the lobby going, well, Greta Garbo sat there, and Fred Astaire and Ginger played cards right there. So they did do that obligatory old Hollywood scene.
They were looking at a picture of Katharine Hepburn at one point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was hanging on the wall in the lounge where they were sitting.
What did you guys think of this movie?
It was wonderful.
I actually didn't hate the movie. I enjoyed it because I knew that it wasn't good, and I knew that we'd be on the same page, at least conceptually about what was ridiculous about it.
Right.
Yeah, it was stupid. Like I said, it was very problematic in terms of these people's behaviors, disaster in communications, and just narcissism, and a lot of mental illness was packed into this movie. Maybe other people don't see it that way.
This was a movie about having shaky boundaries.
Boundaries, lack of communication. People have to stand up for themselves. Just
narcissism.
It's a parade of problems, and it's marching through this town.
And you know what I need as a palate cleanser? I need a Lifetime movie. I need some blood. I need a wrong, a killer, a psycho, some chloroform, and a big giant camera.
Yeah.
I need all that stuff.
I'll be just fine.
I need to get a vaccine needle right in my ass so that herd immunity can begin.
Okay.
The only thing good that came out of this movie is I'm very excited about the Twins movie.
Twins. Yeah, that's kind of, I don't know what to think about that. I might have to see that for myself. I probably will.
And you know what else comes with a twin switching identity movie? There's always a makeover montage where the twins turn into each other. Because then they have to change.
Because the one wearing the flannel shirt has to like switch shirts with the one wearing the tuxedo.
Right. They have the scene.
Oh, I was gonna say, if I was with a woman and she and her twin decided like switch places, I wouldn't say anything. I would just pretend. I didn't know.
Well, they always get caught.
Well, they remember because I would never call them out on it.
Because there was this one movie. Okay, so did you guys ever remember when Harlequin Romance used to have like a movie every Sunday? The Harlequin Romance Sunday.
What's
and there was this one movie. It was about these two twins, and it was like
two of them.
So one of them was a model in Paris. One of them was a model in Paris, but she had to go to rehab, but she didn't want to lose her gig. So her twin sister came in and took over her modeling gig so she could go to rehab for 30 days. And so they were pulling it off, and it was starring these twins, Stephanie Beacham and Rick Springfield. And so then
from Hard to Hold.
And so yes, Rick, yes.
He was an actor. He was an actor and a singer. He was in General Hospital back in the day, Kurt.
And so what happened, how they got caught is they were pulling it off, but then the seamstress for the models, because it was in Paris, so the snotty Parisian seamstress, Stephanie Beacham, said that she knew that she was her twin because her butt was bigger. So that's how she got caught.
That's a dead giveaway.
That's how she got caught. Because she's like, I see her naked all the time, and I knew by looking at your butt that you were not her.
Well, dig a hole.
So I'm very excited to see this, how the twins get caught in this next movie.
Yeah,
I'm very excited.
All right. Well, we need to wrap it up, guys. I gotta get going. This is a long one.
I'm starving. I have a vegetarian lasagna waiting for me in the kitchen. So yes, I've got to go.
Okay.
So if you want to get a hold of me, you can find me on my website, which has just been redone, leskirkendallbarrett.com. Or you can also find me on Facebook at Les Kirkendall Barrett. Jason.
You can find all of us on Instagram at Lifetime of Hallmark Podcast. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Big Shot Jason. Kurt.
You can find me on kurtfitzpatrick.com. It's KURT. The Rogue show I've been promoting is not happening anymore.
It's not?
Able to do it. No, I'm not able to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but you can hear me on this show. That's it.
And if you are a fan of podcasts, I actually have a couple of other podcasts that I do. I have a podcast called The Reality Reading Rainbow, where I talk about books written by reality stars. I also interview people on reality shows. This week, I am interviewing my cousin, Travis Horn, who is otherwise known as the Balance Guru, who is a contestant on the Go Big show on TBS. I also have another, if you're a fan of soap operas, you can also listen to my podcast, Soap Opera Love in the Afternoon. And don't forget to give us a review on whatever platform you listen to us on, and we would love 5 stars. And I think that's about it. So until next time, bye.
Bye.
Bye.